Yeah, we're going to jump right into this one. We're going to call this segment, Some Dogs Don't Bark Because They're Way Too Busy Biting. Some dogs don't bark because they're way too busy biting. What I mean by that, man, they too busy taking care of business to be out there making all that noise, woofing, hollering, and not making it do what it do, okay? The not making it do what it do trophy goes to two teams. Yes, sir. We talk about them Cowboys and we talk about them Philadelphia Eagles. And if y'all remember correctly, go back in my videos. Go back in my videos and look what I said about the Eagles early when they started having some issues. I'm telling you, and I told you, that locker room ain't right. That locker room ain't right. There's a power struggle that exists on that team as to why it fractured and just tore apart the way it did. And I don't think you can just blame that solely on the coach. This was layers upon layers. I mean, it started, when I first noticed, now don't get me wrong, when I first noticed, it was between the players. I seen a weird chemistry between Hurts, Brown, and Smith. There was a struggle there, okay? They wasn't on the same plays. They wasn't working cohesively. I ain't about to start saying what I thought people. There was some was off. Some was off, and it was obvious. Immediately, something just ain't right. And we knew it quickly, okay? But then it goes deeper than that, and some of the coaching stuff going on as far as like the defensive. I think those guys losing those coordinators was like the gutting of that team, because them coordinators had a certain level of probably cachet, credibility, and everything in that, so that things didn't start getting unbalanced and people start finger pointing. Well, you said, I said do this, you said do that, now that happened, that's on you. That's what starts going on. I think that involved with the players and the power struggle on that team doomed it. Hurts not being able to run the ball like he was. He's not in a good chamber in his head. I think his decisions throwing the ball started going, but everything, the team imploded, and it was over. It was over. And everybody's like, oh, well, that coach got them to the Super Bowl. You know, you got to stick with them. The problem is this isn't a coaching issue. This is a respect and credibility issue that's starting to permeate through that team. And I don't know if you can just sit down and have a heart-to-heart and glue that back together. I don't know. Especially when there's such dynamic, powerful coaches out there, like a Belichick, like Harbaugh. You know what I mean? And some of these up-and-comers. I think some of these up-and-comers probably even a better decision than those two, to be honest with you, depending upon the age of your team. But if your team, you got an old veteran team, okay, then bring them guys in. But you got a younger team, like in the middle or lower to the young side, man, I would get somebody more on their level they can respect and dial into. But that team's gonna have to do some. They're gonna have to do an overhaul on that situation. So I don't know. Maybe you could bring in a Belichick. Maybe you can bring in a Harbaugh. They come in, poke their chest out. They got a lot of credibility, a lot of respect. They've done a lot. You know what I mean? Harbaugh, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but he sure brought his team to one too, with the 49ers back in the day when he played against his brother. Belichick, we don't even have to discuss that. But something's got to happen. Something's got to happen big, nasty, and powerful to change the trajectory of that team. Now let's get to them Cowboys. Woo-wee. fourth tickets, you just keep hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. And when they can't take no more, what do you say? The market's low, you keep hitting them. Okay. Now everybody's on deck. Okay? Everybody's on deck. The offense, that is not where I'm going with this at all. I am strictly on the defense because if I'm not mistaken, they got that ball and drove directly down the field and put up 7 before the offense did anything. Okay? And before we knew it, we were looking at, was it 21-3 or 21-0, something like that. And that was all at the hands of the defense. And somebody earlier today, because it was real funny, and I'm not going to act like I came up with that, but it was true, is that they real top-heavy defense draw everybody looking like this, but everybody skipped leg day. That was funny. The Cowboys defense looked like they skipped leg day. Hilarious. And they just getting pushed around. And my team, you know what I'm saying, they put the code out on them. They said, run that ball right at them boys. So when you talk as heavy as the Cowboys talked about who they were, what they was going to do, what they was about, and then teams just come out and go, okay, and come straight at you, obviously, you're not that. You are not that at all. And if I hear anybody trying to blow the horn on Parsons, listen, we will not on my watch, be comparing that man to Lawrence Taylor. We're not doing it. It's not going to happen. If I find you doing it, me and you going to have a conversation on the spot. Ahora. That's Spanish for now. We having a talk quickly because pass rush, okay, he's something else, but you have to be a force and a dominating factor to be putting Lawrence Taylor's pedigree on defense when they're running the ball, man. Come on. And that's what they ran that ball right down their throat. As soon as they got caught up on trying to figure out how to stop the run, everything else was wide open. Everything, and Jordan Love was delivering the rock. He was delivering the rock. And before you know it, when you start slipping backwards like that, it's over. You can do this all you want. You ain't gonna catch your balance, champ. You going down. And that's what happened to them. They was going down. As they started going backpedaling, and it was over. So the thing is a lot of these teams that are claiming to be of a certain pedigree or a certain ilk. And I'm telling you, November, December football, that's a whole different grade of football. And what you've been seeing out of some teams has been fool's gold. Complete fool's gold. And you're about to find out that something ain't what you thought it was. You know what I mean? And I think with the biggest fool's gold was the Eagles. The Eagles were in disarray from the jump, but like Shannon Sharp says, they kept winning, so you kept letting things go. Those things manifest, festered, team imploded, right? Dallas Cowboys were getting away with looking like they were something that they were not, okay? Especially when you get into the playoffs, your running game has to be intact. I don't care how you go about it. Your running game has to be intact, and that's what the Bills did. One thing I can give the Bills, when they got rid of that offensive coordinator and that new guy came in, that new OC came in, he stressed the run heavily. Heavily stressed the run. And it definitely changed that team's trajectory on where they were going and how they were going to get there. So quite impressive. I'm not going to jump on my team's back and start praising them, but that's what I'm saying. The Cowboys never had a real commitment the whole season. to running the football. And I think those chickens came home to roost eventually. That defense that was getting away with whatever, pinning their ears back and just rush, that came to an end. And the Eagles and the Cowboys shown to be what they were. They was that butter. They were that butter. They just melt in savory. They just melted. Them boys was not up for the task as far as a unit team wise. They lost their way. Eagles more than the Cowboys. The Cowboys just didn't have it. They skipped leg day. Their defense wasn't strong enough, and they didn't have a running game. Eagles imploded in self-destruction. That's what that was. So I had to get that segment out because I needed y'all to understand what I'm saying. All right? You feel me? I feel you. Everybody on live!